Do you have any big thoughts about Jagisaw moving inside? Potentially. I mean, like you said, they're playing with things and just figuring out different configurations, and it's about getting the best five guys on the field. But do you have any big thoughts about having Jagisaw move inside?
I like it. I think having the top five guys on the field to be able to potentially protect a guy like Steve Angeli, to be able to just in general have players figure out exactly where they might truly fit is super beneficial. Like, we don't know exactly what this team is going to look like, but we know that we've got probably the best returning running back in the country. And you we've mentioned it a third time here, with the 6 starts last year going in to the Texas A&M game, now with 58. Well, that means that we've got a lot of talent, and we got a lot of players who came in because we had such a long season last year at the very end who definitely deserve to be on the field. And this is the time where we put the best 5 out there no matter what, because we also know injuries are part of this game, and you do want to be able to know who your best 5, who your best 8 are as well. I like it. I'm personally a fan. Also, I trust the coaches here whenever it comes to this sort of stuff too, because they know like when they move stuff around, and it could be one of those stories where, because you hear it a lot of times on former athletes, their podcasts, like I got moved in the spring and it worked. Been there, been there forever.
I mean,
and if he's the only player that can really move on the line, then that's also a big thing too. Like, I don't know exactly the versatility for each of those guys on that offensive line.
He's the only one.
Yeah.
He's the only one of the tackles that, because I mean, Emil Wagner's not moving, and you can't. I mean, Kirby Lambert's not playing guard, so he's the only one that can. And I think that like 15 years ago, it would have been seen as a slap in the face to Charles Jagusah to be asked to move inside. But I think that the way that the NFL is now, and the way that the whole draft process works, is that a lot of teams are looking for versatility from these linemen to be able to play multiple positions on the line, because a team will look at you and they'll say, look at somebody like Zach Martin, like his entire Notre Dame career at left tackle. He didn't play left tackle in the pros, right? Right guard. And you look at other guys at other ones, and they're just moving them and putting guys at the positions that fit them: left side, right side, inside, outside, center. And being able to display that versatility for your NFL draft stock is enormous. So while 15 years ago being asked to make that move, and I also think that the importance of the guard position in the last 10, 15 years has exploded with what you see from quarterbacks, especially Tom Brady made a living out of stepping up in the pocket. And you can't step up into the pocket to avoid pass rush if you don't have an ironclad interior. So if the inside of your offensive line collapses and you got to spin out, well, then the whole play's broken. But now the tackles can, push them out to the outside, and then you can step up into the pocket, which is something Joe Burrow does exceptionally well with the Bengals. Is it's his ability to step up in the pocket, extend the play. Patty Mahomes does the same thing. And I just think that the way that guards are viewed now has changed so much that they used to. So I think Charles should be he'll be. I don't think that there'll be the reluctance to make this move either that you might have gotten before. I don't think that there's any shame in playing on the interior line and being able to display that versatility. And especially because, a lot of these tackles, they don't end up projecting to NFL tackles anyway, right? So
yeah, you see that all the time.
The time.
I'm in agreement. It's certainly one of those things where you see that move, and 15 years ago, I definitely think it would have been something that would have been like viewed a little bit different. But there's so many. It could be something that he's potentially grateful for, because it's not a move that he ends up having to make at the NFL level or anything like that. This is a super deep offensive line. You said it earlier. This is potentially the best position group for Notre Dame. And it's been like that, maybe including tight ends, although tight end is a little bit in a weird spot right now, I'd say too. Just with like the general
the injuries. Everybody seems to have they're talented, but everybody's got some sort of injury.
But yeah, like this offensive line group is just so talented as well. And how Joe Rudolph ends up sorting it out, you know, we're not gonna have definitive answers, you know, 100%. I certainly don't think here. And he made moves last year, benching experience, then going back to experience because of injury. Like there's all these different moves that could happen. So I think Jagasaw is going to. He could potentially find himself there, and he could potentially end up finding himself in a different part of this offensive line, back where he maybe is even more comfortable. I don't know, but I definitely think it's a very good thing. And then you want to, no matter what, give yourself as many options as possible. So if whether or not your quarterback's Kenny Minchie, somebody who can move and way different than Riley Leonard too, like as far as the way that he can run, or if it's Angeli standing there like a statue, well, you got to make sure that you're going to protect either of those guys, whether or not they can run out of the pocket or not. And I think he's going to figure it out. And this might be the first real big step of doing that too.
And I like the point to Rudolph as well, and what he did last year. The way he navigated the offensive line last year was one of the most masterful jobs of positional coaching Notre Dame has seen in a while, with the injuries as well as, you know, what he went into with the freshmen going into that Texas A&M football game. And then, you know, it will be funny if they decide to go with experience to start the game against Miami and Anthony Knapp's on there and then he loses his job again. And I hope in 2026, Anthony Knapp's back again to start the opener there as well. And, you know, you can just be the official, the opener, like sort of like a reverse closer.
Yeah. And you know why the snap counts here too? And it just looks completely different than what you might see at the quarterback position. Because you've got 1,000, 2 1,000s essentially, and then 843 with Knapp, and then 397, 182. And then you got a lot of guys who have been able to rotate in and out. And that's with losing a couple individuals in the transfer portal, in the winter transfer portal, which is so key. There's just so much to like, in my opinion, about this offensive line. I think it's just so great to even have an opportunity to be able to move such a talented individual to the interior of this line.
Yeah. And, you know,
it's a privilege.
It's a privilege. Yeah. It's an embarrassment of riches. And that's why when, you know, we're seeing, you know, Rocco go to Nebraska and we see Pendleton transfer out, and there's no, it's like, I just sort of look at it and I go, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Because those are experienced. I don't want to be entirely too mean, but like Rocco had years. He had years to prove out. And it took injuries in order for him to get into the lineup. And, you know, it's just, thank you for your contribution. But, you know, and even Coogan, it's like, Coogan was never going to be a top flight. I don't think Coogan is going to be a top flight NFL offensive lineman, which I think all of the guys, you know, Ashton Craig might, Joe Otting might. I mean, there's the ceiling on everybody behind them, you know, like, that's why I don't worry about those transfers coming out, is because when you have good players, guys get experience and then they move on.